Robertson, Mecha Man. Let's kick things off with the main character of Dispatch, Robertson III, also known as Mecha Man. Robert is the protagonist you play as, and he's actually the third generation in his family to wear the Mecha Man suit. His grandfather was the original Mecha Man, followed by his father, who was called Astral. Now here's the thing about Robert. Unlike most superheroes, he doesn't actually have any superpowers. He's just a regular guy who relied entirely on his high-tech mechanical suit to fight crime. The suit gave him superhuman strength, durability, flight capabilities, energy weapons, and even an energy shield. But maintaining this incredibly advanced tech came at a massive cost. Robert literally spent his entire inheritance, millions of dollars, just to keep the suit operational. His superhero career came to a devastating end when he was hunting down the villain Shroud, who killed his father. During this confrontation, Shroud set a trap and planted a bomb on Robert's suit. The explosion destroyed the Mecha Man armor completely, left Robert in a coma for months, and broke his arm. With no money left to rebuild it, Robert's days as a hero seemed over. That's when Blonde Blazer approached him with an offer to work as a dispatcher for the Superhero Dispatch Network, managing a team of reformed supervillains called the Z-Team. Robert is voiced by the incredible Aaron Paul, and his character deals with seasonal depression, has a sarcastic personality, and shows some seriously impressive pain tolerance, shrugging off broken bones like they're nothing. He's also a master tactician, expert engineer, skilled hacker, and a talented hand-to-hand combatant, even without his suit. Sonar. Now let's talk about Sonar, one of the most unique characters in the game. His real name is Victor, and he's a Harvard graduate who somehow ended up becoming one of the most effective investment fraudsters in Silicon Valley history. Sonar has this incredible ability where he can transform between two forms. His hybrid form, where he has a human body with a giant bat head, and his mega bat form, where he becomes a massive hulking bat creature. What makes his power really interesting is that when he transforms after returning from a mission, his stats completely swap around. His intellect swaps with combat, and his charisma swaps with vigor, essentially giving you two different heroes in one. He can fly in his bat form and has abilities like echolocation and sonic screens. Sonar is a recovering addict with substance abuse problems, particularly with cocaine, and Molevola actually serves as his Narcotics Anonymous sponsor. He's got this stereotypical tech bro personality, constantly bragging about being a Harvard graduate and calling himself a high-ranking Vanderstanker, which is a fan of tech CEO Willem Vanderstank. He also has some pretty bat-like habits, randomly screeching and eating bugs and dead mice. Sonar is voiced by Charles White, better known as Moist Critical on YouTube. In gameplay, his unique transformation mechanic makes him incredibly versatile, and if you train him properly, he can carry non-flying heroes to missions and becomes immune to injuries in his mega bat form. Flambae. Flambae is one of the most hot-headed characters you'll encounter in Dispatch. His real name is Chad, and he was originally a supervillain and serial arsonist from Afghanistan before being defeated by Mecha Man and enrolled in the Phoenix program for rehabilitation. During their encounter, Robert actually cut off Flambae's ring and pinky fingers with a plasma blade, which explains why Flambae holds such a massive grudge against Robert. What makes Flambae dangerous is his complete mastery over fire. He has pyrokinesis, meaning he can create and control flames at will, and he's completely immune to fire damage himself. He can also use his flames for propulsion, essentially flying by shooting fire from his hands and feet. His power has this momentum-based mechanic where, after each successful mission, he gains +1 to combat and mobility, and these bonuses stack up. However, if he fails a mission, all those bonuses reset back to 0. If you train him further, he can reduce travel time and call completion time, but there's a risk. If he succeeds twice, then fails on the third attempt, he gets downed. Flambae has serious anger issues and an incredibly short temper. He's rude, egotistical, and extremely arrogant. Throughout the game, he constantly belittles Robert's authority, and there's this memorable scene where he sings an insulting ballad about Robert at a bar. Despite his hostile attitude, if Robert reveals his identity as Mecha Man to the team, Flambae initially tries to literally burn him alive, but eventually comes back and admits that while he's still furious, he'll eventually bury the hatchet and move forward. Invisigal. Invisigal is one of the most complex and controversial characters in Dispatch, and she's also one of Robert's potential love interests. She was born with the natural ability to turn invisible. And her tragic backstory suggests she either grew up around criminals or was heavily bullied, which shaped her belief that her powers only made her suitable for being a villain. Before joining the Phoenix program, she used her invisibility for theft, stealing valuable items, and even spying on celebrities. She also suffers from asthma, likely from living in moldy houses during her difficult upbringing. Invisigal is a skilled hand-to-hand combatant, and her main power, called Lone Wolf, gives her reduced travel time and faster call completion time when sent alone on missions. As you develop her character, she can double XP rewards for the entire team and even reveal information about certain calls before they happen through her criminal connections. Her relationship with Robert starts off extremely rocky. She openly mocks him alongside the rest of the Z team, and after a failed dispatch where she disobeyed orders, she actually punches him in the face. But things begin to change as Robert successfully guides her on missions, and she starts developing strong feelings for him. The story takes a dark turn when Invisigal attempts to steal the Astral Pulse alone and nearly gets killed, forcing Chase to save her at personal cost. The game later reveals she was involved in the bombing that destroyed Robert's Mecha Man armor, and depending on your choices throughout the game, she can either betray Shroud to save Robert and remain a hero, or kill Shroud and return to villainy. Invisigal represents the game's central theme about redemption and whether people with dark pasts can truly change. Coupé. Coupé is the mysterious assassin of the Z team, and her real name is Janelle. Before joining the Phoenix program, she worked as a professional mob assassin, and she takes immense pride in her deadly skills. Her powers are based on Umbra Kinesis, which means she can create and manipulate shadows into physical weapons. She has these feather-shaped shadow blades that extend from wings on her back, and she wields them with lethal precision and superhuman accuracy. Coupé also has the ability to fly using an advanced flight rig combined with her shadow manipulation. Her name is actually a French ballet term that means to cut, which perfectly reflects both her weapon of choice and her elegant and precise fighting style. In terms of personality, Coupé is cool, efficient, and professional, but she gets genuinely frustrated with herself when she fails, questioning what all her training was for. Her special ability, called On Point, gives her combat bonuses when placed in the first slot of a mission and mobility bonuses when placed in the second slot. She can also fly to missions to reduce travel time, and if you unlock her advanced training, she can actually reattempt failed missions automatically. If you develop her fully, those slot bonuses increase from +1 to +3, making her positioning incredibly important. During the team building episodes, it's revealed that Coupé is not above playing dirty. She tricks Sonar by handcuffing him to gym equipment, exploiting his perverted nature by suggesting she'd show him something inappropriate. If Robert chooses to cut Coupé from the program during the turnover episode, she presumably returns to her life as a hired assassin, which shows just how fragile her redemption really is. Punch-Up. Punch-Up is the team's indestructible brawler, and his power comes from a deal he made with a mysterious sorceress. This deal gave him the strength of 10 men and incredible durability, but it also gave him the ability called Pycnokinesis, which lets him shrink down to an extremely small size. What makes Punch-Up unique is his passive ability called Hardhead. He doesn't receive any debuffs from injuries, and he literally cannot be down no matter how much damage he takes. This makes him incredibly valuable for difficult missions where other heroes might get taken out. His advanced abilities let him create an extra slot exclusively for himself on missions that have fewer than 4 slots, essentially forcing his way onto the team. And when he's injured, instead of being weakened, he actually gains +2 to combat and vigor while also reducing his rest time, making him stronger when hurt. Punch-Up is immune to pain, which explains why injuries don't affect his performance. He has a synergy team-up with Coupé, and depending on your choices in Episode 4, he might synergize with Phenomaman. Not much is known about his backstory before becoming a villain, but his criminal career involved using his powers for illegal activities before being caught and enrolled in the Phoenix program. In terms of stats, Punch-Up excels in vigor and combat, making him your go-to tank character for missions requiring raw strength and the ability to take hits. Molevola is the half-demon duelist who brings some serious versatility to the Z team. Her demon physiology gives her several unique abilities, including the power to create portals for instant transportation and the incredibly useful ability to transfer wounds from others to herself. Her signature weapon is a massive sword that she wields with expert skill. Molevola's core ability is called Life Trade and is one of the most supportive powers in the game.
When sent on a call with another hero, she heals one of them and then receives +1 to either charisma or vigor, with these bonuses stacking throughout the shift. As you train her further, after healing someone, she can reveal the stats of the next call she's assigned to, giving you valuable intel for planning. Her ultimate ability lets her create a portal near a call location once per shift after healing someone, and this portal stays active for 45 seconds after the call completes, drastically reducing travel time for the entire team. Molevola serves as Sonar's Narcotics Anonymous sponsor, showing she has a caring side despite her demon heritage. She has a synergy team-up with Sonar, and in episode 4 you have to choose between keeping her or Punch-Up on the team, which is a genuinely difficult decision since both bring unique value. Before joining the Phoenix program, Molevola was a villain, and there's even a comic showing her and Sonar going on a wild night out before their first day at the SDN, where they party at strip clubs and steal from obnoxious guys they meet at a club. She represents the more balanced characters in terms of stats, being truly an all-rounder. Golem. Golem is one of the most unique characters in the roster because he's not actually human. He's a sentient construct made of clay and earth. Standing at 7 feet 7 inches tall at just 20 years old, Golem is a morphological being with the ability to mimic any earthen material and regenerate from damage. His body is essentially living clay that can absorb materials like stone, concrete, or metal and take on their properties. He's also shown the ability to absorb objects like billiard balls and shoot them out as projectiles. Golem's special ability, called Diamond in the Rough, is fascinating. On calls with more than 2 slots, certain positions grant him +2 to 1 stat while subtracting 1 from others, forcing you to think strategically about where to place him. His advanced power, called Spread Thin, lets him expand to fill empty slots on a mission, increasing his stats by 25% per empty slot up to a maximum of 200% when being official, essentially making him multiple heroes at once. He also has this incredible utility where once per shift, you can completely reset and redistribute all his skill points in the hero database, letting you adapt his build to whatever the current situation demands. Golem has low intelligence, but excels in vigor and combat with decent charisma as well. He's essentially the team's versatile tank who can be whatever you need him to be. His synergy team-up is with Invisigal, and his regenerative healing means he's very hard to keep down. As a construct, he doesn't seem to have a traditional backstory of being human, which raises interesting questions about his origins and how he became sentient in the first place. Prism. Prism is the pop star illusionist of the Z team, and she's all about light manipulation and creating dazzling distractions. Her real power set includes photokinesis, which is the ability to control light itself, photoionization, where she can use light to ionize air molecules, and holographic manipulation that lets her create convincing illusions of people. Prism's signature ability, called Doppelganger Illusion, is incredibly powerful. When assigned to a call, she automatically duplicates the hero to her left, placing an illusion of them in an empty slot with half their stats. As you train her, she can upgrade this to Perfect Copy, where the illusions have the full stats of the copied hero rather than just half, essentially giving you a free extra team member. Her ultimate ability, Long Range Illusion, kicks in when a call is about to expire. She creates an illusion that keeps the call active for a few more seconds, but this only works once per shift. This can be a lifesaver when you're trying to get a hero to a mission that's about to time out. Prism has a synergy team-up with Flambae, and visually their powers complement each other beautifully, since fire and light create such striking effects together. Stat-wise, Prism excels in combat and charisma, but is severely lacking in mobility and vigor with just 1 point in each, making her vulnerable if caught in dangerous situations. She's essentially a glass cannon support character who multiplies your team's effectiveness through her illusions. Her pop star personality suggests she was likely famous before becoming a villain, though the game doesn't dive too deeply into her specific backstory or what crimes led her to the Phoenix program. Phenomaman is Dispatch's answer to Superman, but with a darkly comedic twist that makes him fascinating. He's an alien from another world with absolutely incredible base stats, starting with 7 combat, 6 mobility, and 7 vigor, plus the ability to fly. He can absorb energy, has superhuman strength and durability, and is basically the most powerful character on paper. However, he has one massive weakness that completely changes his gameplay. He suffers from severe depression. His passive ability, called Easily Depressed, means he only needs 2 seconds of rest normally, which is insanely fast. But if any call fails or is missed by anyone on the team, Phenomaman becomes depressed and needs 45 seconds of rest instead. This mechanic brilliantly reflects his mental state. He's phenomenally powerful, but emotionally fragile. You can give him the heavily medicated training, which adds 10 more seconds to his rest and removes his flight ability, but he no longer gets depressed, essentially trading power for stability. Alternatively, the phenomenal motivation training makes heroes sent with him have their rest time reduced by half if he completes the call successfully, turning him into an amazing support. Story-wise, Phenomaman was dating Blonde Blazer at the start of episode 3, but she breaks up with him at the beginning of episode 4, sending him into a deep depression. In episode 4, you have to choose between hiring Phenomaman or Waterboy to join the Z-Team. Phenomaman is socially awkward, doesn't understand human customs very well, and as an alien, he can't physically reproduce with humans, which added strain to his relationship with Blazer. Despite being this Superman-like figure, the game explores how even the strongest beings can struggle with mental health. If you choose Phenomaman, he has a synergy with either Punch-Up or Molevola, depending on previous choices, and later can synergize with Blonde Blazer. Waterboy is the underdog character of Dispatch, starting as the janitor at the SDN who desperately wants to prove himself as a hero. His real power is water expulsion. He can basically shoot water from his body. On paper, this sounds pretty weak compared to the other heroes, and his starting stats reflect that with 1s and 2s across the board. However, Waterboy has incredible potential for growth. His passive ability called Eager Sponge makes him automatically assign himself to missions when he hasn't been sent out often. And when he does, he gains +1 to whatever the highest required stat for that call is. You can only remove him from missions one time before he assigns himself again, which can be annoying but also shows his determination. When you train him to Eager Super Sponge, that bonus increases to +3, suddenly making him much more viable. His final training, Holy Water Spit, changes his mechanics completely. He stops assigning himself automatically, but instead gains the ability to heal up to 2 heroes when sent on calls with them, similar to Molevola's healing power. The choice between Phenomaman and Waterboy in episode 4 is interesting because while Phenomaman is immediately powerful, Waterboy is a blank slate you can mold into whatever you need him to be. He's young, lanky, has ginger hair, wears a blue and yellow wetsuit with swimming goggles, and is described as kind, proud, and initially nervous but determined. Waterboy represents the classic underdog story, the person everyone underestimates, who works harder than anyone to prove his worth. He's easy to level up quickly because of his low starting stats, and his synergy partner is Molevola or Punch-Up depending on your episode 4 choice. Players who choose Waterboy often find he becomes one of their most valuable team members by the end of the game. Blonde Blazer. Finally, let's talk about Blonde Blazer, who might be the most important character besides Robert himself. Her real name is Mandy, and she's the branch leader of the SDN Torrance office and Robert's direct supervisor. She's also one of his potential love interests. Blonde Blazer is an incredibly powerful superhero with a whole suite of abilities, including superhuman strength, durability, energy projection, accelerated healing, and flight. She can generate a golden aura around her body and project devastating energy beams from her hands that can blast multiple enemies at once. Her signature ability, Radiant Light, creates a protective aura that shields any hero passing through it from one injury, which is absolutely crucial during the final mission. She can fly effortlessly while carrying others, and she only appears as a playable hero during episode 8 when things get really intense. Her stats are incredible across the board, with 8s in combat and vigor, 7 in mobility, 6 in charisma, and 7 in intellect, making her one of the strongest characters in the game. Blonde Blazer is the one who approached Robert after his retirement and offered him the dispatcher job, promising to help repair his Mecha Man suit in exchange. Throughout the game, she serves as Robert's mentor and confidant, and depending on your choices, their professional relationship can evolve into romance. She was previously in a relationship with Phenomaman, but realized they weren't compatible and broke up with him before episode 3. Blonde Blazer is idealistic and has a hero complex, genuinely believing in the Phoenix program's mission to reform villains into heroes. She's friendly and welcoming to her staff, but can be slightly thoughtless at times, like when she awkwardly uses Galen as an example of diversity without remembering he's from Florida. She represents hope and redemption in the game's narrative, and her belief in Robert and the Z-Team drives much of the story forward. Her brand deals in commercials in Europe are mentioned, suggesting she's not just powerful, but also famous and financially successful, unlike Robert, who bankrupted himself being a hero. That wraps up every hero character in Dispatch, and let me know in the comments which hero was your favorite. From the powerless but determined Robertson to the incredibly powerful Blonde Blazer, Each character brings unique abilities, personalities, and stories to this superhero workplace comedy. The game brilliantly explores themes of redemption, mental health, and what it truly means to be a hero, all while managing the chaos of a dysfunctional team of reformed villains. Whether you're drawn to the transformation mechanics of Sonar, the healing support of Molevola, the raw power of Phenomaman, or the underdog story of Waterboy, there's a character for everyone to connect with. Thanks for watching.